Welcome back to another week of videos. As you can see, I've still got the setup, the basic setup, still pretty warm here, so I'm not going full on lighting or anything. So we have basic setup. I'm going to start with a double bill. There's actually two double bills this week. This first one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a new Tarantino film, and Bad Times at the Royale, which is a Drew Goddard film that was released late last year. Now I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with a friend over the weekend basically, and Bad Times at the Royale I saw about a month ago on streaming. So one was seen in the cinema, one was seen on streaming. So that may affect what I think of Bad Times at the Royale, but I don't think so. Because it wasn't like the most visually ambitious film to start with, so I don't think I was really missing that much. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Tarantino's 9th film, the second last one, the penultimate film, apparently until he changed his mind. It feels kind of very self-indulgent saying, I'm going to quit at 10. That just seems like just make a bunch of films you want to make and then stop, and why announce it so much? It's almost like, look at me, I really need attention, come on, I need attention, just look at me, look, you're trying to be excited for me. That kind of thing is just annoying. You don't need to do that. Either just make the film and move on. You know, you don't need the self-promotion. The film itself is about 2.5 hours long. It's unusually long for a summer film, but it's on par for the Tarantino films. I mean, the good thing with Tarantino is his films are long, but they don't feel as long as they actually are a lot of the time. The bad side of him is he can be pretty self-indulgent, you know. I don't think that's a new thing to say about him. I think everybody knows he has a bit of self-indulgence to him. Another director I'm going to talk about later on in the week has the same problem. On my other double bill. So, but this is one of his best films for me, I think, in a long time. Basically, his last two, this and Hateful Eight, I've really liked. And it's been a while before that I really liked a film of his. my favourite films of his are Jackie Brown, Kill Bill Part 2, Hateful Eight, and this one. Those are the four I really like. The other ones I like, but they're not in the same league. I mean, Pulp Fiction's really good, Reservoir Dogs is really good, Kill Bill Volume 1's good, but the action's not as good as Tarantino thinks it is, which is the big downfall of that film. Is, I mean, there's big hullabaloo about how great the action's going to be, and you see and think, I've seen a lot of Hong Kong movies, I've seen a lot of Asian movies generally with Kung Fu in it. They're better. So I always felt like the direction of the suspense was much better than direction, and direction of the actors were much better than the actual Kung Fu you saw in that one. I like Death Proof a lot. It's underrated, I think. Django is probably my least favourite of his films. I think basically because I think it's a good first half, and then at a certain point when it gets to the plantation it starts to meander and I don't think it ever really recovers. I think it just goes on and needs to be cut down a bit. And Inglourious Basterds is a weird one where there's a lot I like about it, but I have problems with it as well, so which I'll get to later. Because it's tied to what happens in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The good thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is there's a lot less of the Tarantino distractions. Like, yeah, it plays with structure, but it's not as self-conscious as some of his films. Some of his films play with structure and they're enjoyable, but other times it's almost like he's forcing how clever he can be on you, and it's like one of the problems I have with Reservoir Dogs is the structure of it is clever, but it feels so look at me compared to something like The Killing, which had that structure but it felt more integrated into the story. Like, you needed that to tell the story. In Reservoir Dogs it feels like sometimes it's a bit flashy towards, yeah, it tells part of the story, but it's also at times it works with the Mr. Orange stuff, but other times it feels like it's just flashy for the sake of being flashy, and you know, for me it kind of becomes annoying at times. And this one there's flashback, but nothing ever intrudes. You always feel like it's a playful element. It's there to tell you stuff you need to know. It doesn't feel like it's got this hey look at me feeling to it that really rubs me the wrong way sometimes. I'm all for showing off for directors. I mean, I'm a big Brian De Palma fan. I love Orson Welles. I love show-off directors, but sometimes some directors showing off can get on your nerves. And Tarantino sometimes gets on my nerves when he does his show-off stuff. Because I don't think he's as especially in his early period, I don't think he was as fluid as a director to pull certain things off. Sometimes they come across a bit delicate and trying too hard. I think later on he's got a lot more mature, he doesn't try as hard anymore. So even though there are problems with some of the stuff he does, a lot of the effects are smoother now because he knows what he's doing. He doesn't need to jump at you and say, hey, look at me. You know. That's one of the good things, how he's matured a little bit. In this film, all the flashbacks are terrific. They'll tell you stuff you need to know, and they're not difficult to watch. The film itself is like a fairy story in a way. Once upon a time element. It's not just revealing, it's not just talking about the Sergio Leone stuff. There are some Sergio Leone influences and spaghetti western influences in the plot and in the style and the slow moving shots and things. There is an influence, but Once Upon a Time also means fairy story. Like, what if stories, you know. It also kind of ties into a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away of Star Wars, where there is an element of what if this was much more interesting than you get normally in a film. This is a wish fulfillment thing. But it's also got the gritty reality of life, but it's also got a fantasy element. And in this one it really balances out because it doesn't push the fantasy. It's there. It's also an acknowledgement of genre filmmaking has an element of Once Upon a Time. So he's not like hammering it home to you. It's like he's talking about genre films and they have that element to them a lot of the time. And he's bringing it up, but he's not like prodding you with it. Do you get it? Do you get it? Get it? He doesn't do that. So that's nice. That's a nice thing. That's what's pleasurable about it. It actually, the film floats along with the characters and it gives you the information and you can make of it what you will. I mean, there's three characters. Those that are the most important, and there's other supporting characters. Anything outside these three characters are essentially cameos. You know, you hear this massive cast, but everybody who is in this film outside of the Brad Pitt character, the DiCaprio character, or the Margot Robbie character, most of them feel like cameos that were shot in about a week or something at most. They feel like they were in for a bit, then we're gone. It doesn't. They're nice little bits with different actors that Tarantino likes, that he places in these parts, and they'll get their little moment or two to shine, and then they're gone. And it works because every part is written well enough so you get who everyone's about. No one overstays their welcome, and you're interested in them, but you're happy to move on to the next one because it's been well paced, it's been well cast, so you're very happy to see these actors stick to their thing, then they move on, and you're stuck with the three main characters. That works really well. It actually works much more smooth than some of the other Tarantino films for that, where sometimes you feel an actor is in it too long. Not everyone, it's just once in a while you feel like, you know, there are too many scenes of someone just because the director likes them. That's my biggest problem with Tarantino a lot of time. I think he could just cut the film down a bit more. A lot of his films can be cut down. It needs to be a bit more because the things are in there because he likes the actor, he likes the dialogue, and he likes the atmosphere. And it's good, but sometimes you think there could be a greater point to it. I mean, something like Death Proof, for example, there's two different cuts of Death Proof. There's a extended cut and there's the cut down version in Grindhouse. And I think the Grindhouse version is a better version. It cuts a few things out, but they make an impact because it feels like a much more dynamic film without those few bits. And that's a problem I have with a lot of his films. I think there's always a few scenes they could cut out and would have just give the film some punch. This one doesn't need that. This one actually, it's all about the flow with the characters, so it doesn't need to lose anything. It actually is one of the Tarantino films where everything's there, it's fine, there's nothing you need to lose. It's quite nice because I had the same feeling with Hateful Eight actually, where I was happy to see everything in there because everything seemed to have a point. before, like in Inglourious Basterds especially, felt like there was a lot of stuff that could have gone. Like, nothing major, just a little bits in between scenes, little moments here or there that could have gone, and you could have got the impression of the film anyway. It just... The same with Django Unchained was the same thing, where I felt like in his mid-period Tarantino was getting a bit self-indulgent. He wasn't cutting things down as brutally as he really needed to. Even though I actually like his more floaty films, I like something like Jackie Brown and Kill Bill 2 are more floaty, but they seem to have been written that way, and they kind of work because that's where they're written. But I think sometimes with some of his other films that are written to be a bit more propulsive, I think sometimes he then just leaves things in the likes which could have come out because it kind of slows the pace down. Anyway, to the actual film. The film is very much a hangout movie with these three characters. DiCaprio plays the Rick Dalton, who's a former TV star who's now guest starring in the pilots for the new season of new shows. His career's on the downward turn. He's done a few cheapo exploitation movies. He's getting offered stuff in Italy to do, which he doesn't want to do because he thinks they're cheap films and why should he do them. He's a traditionalist actor. He likes the conventions of the industry he knows. He plays the hero, but he's kind of a scaredy cat in real life. That kind of character. He's just very compromised. Brad Pitt plays a much more confident stuntman who has a past, has a mysterious past. A lot of people don't like him. He's one of those people who can handle himself, but it makes people scared of him because they knows he can handle himself a bit too much. There's a mysterious bits of the past, and lots of people don't like him, so that stops him from getting jobs, even though he's very competent. And Margot Robbie plays Sharon Tate. Now, Sharon Tate is a lot less dialogue than the two guys. They talk a lot, and she doesn't, but she's more of a presence. It's more internalised. You see what she's thinking all the time, though. She can tell what she's doing. She's in a period of life that's very happy, and so there's less drama to her. It's more of hanging out with her and seeing her going through different situations. She's married to Roman Polanski. Everything's going well. And I think what's been underrated with this section is it's actually hard to show someone having a good time and having a happy period of life, because a lot of times that can be boring. This film actually articulates about camera shots, about acting, through interactions. These people are happy. And because you're watching this film knowing that Sharon Tate died in 1969, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it becomes a study of someone being happy, knowing there's something else coming. I'm not going to go into spoilers for the last section, especially this part of the video. The other two characters, the movie star, he's pretty much on his way down, and he's trying to work out what to do. He's obviously some emotional problems. He kind of gets a bit emotional about everything. He's drinking too much. He's one of those people with talent, but who doesn't always use his talents to his best of abilities. He's very self-destructive. He left his TV show to become a movie star and it didn't work out. He's got that kind of presence of someone who, one of those almost people, they were almost a star but weren't really. And then they're facing the fact they're going to have a up and down career after this, where it's going to be some TV spots, some guest spots. It's not going to be a massive career, but it's going to be okay. They're going to be fine if they handle the money properly. He's obviously well liked enough in the industry that people still respect him, but he has a drinking problem. But he still can show up and do the dialogue. He still understands how to do it. And in scenes in the film, you see him acting. You can see he's actually a decent actor. But then there's also, he gets in his way in a couple of moments in the acting where he forgets his lines and he's very angry with himself. And then when you see him coming back to do the acting after he's remembered his lines, it's not as good because he's working too hard and his drinking is getting in the way of his abilities. So obviously he's a person with trouble, with problems. He's one of those people who get in the way a lot. And it's a really funny character because you can laugh at him, and DiCaprio is very good in this film because he knows it's funny. Like, he's not trying to win an Oscar here. He knows the character's faults are funny, and he plays to that. Same way in like Wolf of Wall Street, he played to the absurdity of the character. I always think he's a better actor when he's playing humour. Like he seems to get the humour, it seems to energise him as an actor, and he seems to be able to play more. When he's been too serious, I think he gets like sombre and one note, but I think when he's allowed humour into it, it works a lot better for him. And this part he really allows it, because a lot of the scenes that are emotional scenes are also funny scenes, and he plays the humour and so you can see it as a tragic scene, or you can see it as a really funny scene of someone being very self-indulgent. And DiCaprio's very good at actually showing both sides are valid. He doesn't go one way or the other. He lets you choose what's the interpretation you want. He just plays a character as a character, and you can... Some people were looking at him going, oh, that's so sad. Other people like me were laughing because it was funny as hell. So it's one of his best performances actually. It's really funny, and he plays up the idea of this as a has-been who still has potential if he just gets out his own way. So that's why some of the emotional scenes are funny, because you can actually watch the guy getting in his own way a lot, and it's like, that's your fault, you're causing these problems to yourself. You know, sure the industry's changing around about him, he has to try and find places to be in the industry, but he still has potential, he still can do stuff. His friend Cliff, played by Brad Pitt, is a much worse position. Was a stuntman, he still was DiCaprio character stuntman, but they don't need him anymore. He's getting fewer jobs, and DiCaprio always has to get him the job, has to go to the stunt people and bring him on board to be his stuntman. And a lot of them don't like him anymore. There's a backstory to him. They may have killed his wife, but no one's quite sure. It could just be a story about him. Sure, I've just left him, but no one can quite clue out, is this a myth or is this a reality? Or a lot of people believe he killed his wife, so it's like you're never quite sure one way or the other. But it allows, plus the character is good at handling himself, it gives him a danger that's really always there, but it's always underplayed. It's always there, you know, he can handle himself, but it keeps it mysterious. So while DiCaprio has a lot of dialogue, Pitt has dialogue, but there's more reflection with him. Again, it's one of his best performances. Here he really gets a chance to shine, to be funny, to play up his charm. Again, he's like DiCaprio in the sense that I think he always works better when he's given a bit of humour within the story. I think when it's a flat drama, he can be flat. But I think when he gets some humour involved, I think it tends to bring more to the table. It always seems more complicated when he's got humour to grab onto to portray the character. And here the character has tragic backstory, but he's always funny with it, and he's always got amused by life. Even though he's struggling, he's a pal of DiCaprio's, and he's a loyal friend. And he gets into situations, but he can always get himself out of it, but the situations always lead to his life being harder afterwards. So these are the three characters that flow in now, and you also the Charles Manson background. You start to see some of the groupies as they appear in Los Angeles and become this floating threat. And what's good about this is you see Manson once, and the rest of the time it's about his influence. It's not about him. Tarantino was smart enough to realise too much Charles Manson in this film will kill the mood and make it really too serious, and also it's such a complicated situation you can't actually articulate it without it being the whole thing. So he lets it be an influence. He's almost like Dracula in a Dracula movie. He's around. You don't see him that often, but whatever he does spreads through the rest of the film and influences it. So it's a really good portrayal, and you just get to see how he's influenced them by seeing these young ladies who have become part of his gang and how they think. They're not all idiots, but they've always been they're all people who are idealists, they're searching for something else, and it's sort of like the purity of idealism if you're very young, that you can't see beyond your own like myopic point of view. You can be smart, but you're obsessed with something, so you can't see the bigger picture. And that's what this film shows, is like these girls are looking for something and they're being manipulated by Manson, and they just don't see the bigger picture. Just the way you see it nowadays with variety of people causing attacks in America. the other side, just this myopic point of view of we don't care what happens to other people, our emotions come first. And it's just horrible. Especially when it's been manipulated by people who won't do, like Manson wouldn't do anything, he manipulates people to do stuff for him. So it's really good how he handles it. So now we're going to Bad Times at El Royale, which is the other film that was made this subject. There actually is like The Haunted Shanty, and there's another one, Charlie Says with Matt Smith. I haven't seen those two. Apparently Charlie Says is good, but I just haven't seen it yet. This one doesn't have Charles Manson, but it's a Charles Manson figure that floats through the film as a background presence. And unfortunately, at a certain point, he appears and starts talking, and it kills the film. Seeing these both together, instantly seeing when you're watching one thing and this doesn't work, and then you see it done right, a month later you see why it doesn't work. You see, in a film that's a crime film with all these characters, it's like an ensemble. Charles Manson figure, a cult Charles Manson's figure, will dominate as soon as he arrives. You have to look at him. Until with Charles Manson, he's not that smart. He says a lot of stuff, but it's more in the head of his followers what they need rather than what he's actually saying himself. It's all about obsession of people who listen to him. And because the Manson figure is this tedious sociopath who will manipulate everybody. So this film was set in this hotel that's halfway between Nevada and California. It's on the line. So half the hotel can have gambling, another half can have booze. So you can walk between one state and the other and get different things. So you can drink on one side of the bar, drinking a bar on one side, then you can cross over and gamble on the other side. So that was a gimmick. Unfortunately, the things have changed with laws, and this bar is no longer valid because no one comes anymore. It's just this old hotel, old gambling place on the line of Nevada and California. And you have some mysterious strangers all appearing at this motel gambling place one night, and they all have different agendas. You have John Hamm as this guy who talks too much and is very insensitive, who turns out is an FBI agent. His talk is just a cover so people won't take him seriously. He actually is investigating the hotel and seeing what it's all about. You have the person who runs the hotel, who's this drug addict who's very nervous and very guilt-ridden. So obviously there's something going on in the hotel. You have a black woman who comes in who's a singer who's just passing through, and she just wants to get from stopping off there on the way to Vegas to sing. Jeff Bridges plays this priest who turns out not to be a priest. Whoever sees him as a priest, he's actually an ex-criminal who's trying to find money that was hidden by his partner years ago, and you're not quite sure, did he kill his partner or what happened there. And you have Dakota Johnson as this woman who comes in with this girl who she's kidnapped. The story's all sort of slowly advanced, and the film is good, but it's a Tarantino-like film where there's lots of things happening, lots of twists, a lot of flashbacks and all the rest of it. And it's kind of like what I was complaining about the early Tarantino, where some of it's done for effect and it doesn't feel integral to the story. It feels like it's showing off for the sake of saying, look at me. That's what this film has. It's Drew Goddard's second film after Cabin in the Woods. And it feels like a second film of show-offy, like, look at all I can do. And there's lots of good stuff in it, but it needs another draft or two to take away the excesses and cut it down. It's like 2.5 hours long, and it should be 1.5 hours long. Like, there's an hour and a half of good stuff there, then there's an hour of bad stuff that should have just been taken out and scenes added to join the good stuff together. It's just a bit of a mess, but it's one of those films. It's a second feature for someone with talent that hopefully when they'll get to the third one they'll bring it all together and do something good. It's not like a total dead loss. The acting's good, there's lots of moments that are good. It's just that it's obviously a Tarantino pastiche, and it sucks the life out of it. I mean, Jeff Bridges is terrific playing this the guy who everyone thinks is a priest. I mean, all the actors are good. John Hamm's good. Chris Hemsworth turns up at the end as a Charles Mansonish figure, and he's the biggest problem in the film. Not because he's bad, he does a good performance, but he's given nothing to do. He's given this sort of bland Manson figure. And it just shows you how boring Manson can be if he's in a film. You know, if he's not, there's not a specific reason why you're using them. In this one, it feels like you're just bland reasons why you're using them. It's like he has to show up, and they feel he has to show up, but he becomes a problem. I can talk about that because it was on all the trailers. He was the Manson type figure. Now I'm getting spoilers for both films, okay? Because I can't go beyond it. So all I got to say before this is, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is terrific. Go see it. The Bad Times at El Royale was good. It's enjoyable as a streaming movie. I don't think I'm missing much not seeing it in the cinema. Nothing. It's not visually. It's not amazing. It's nicely done, but nothing amazing. If you can see it on Netflix, it's worth a shot, but it's not really outstanding film. If you're something you really want to watch that. But if you fancy something that's a bit kind of crimey with some good acting, it's worth a shot. Right, so the spoilers. I'll start with Bad Times because I'm already on that. Turns out that Jeff Bridges' character has Alzheimer's and he can't remember which room the money's been hidden, and the singer, she once had a chance to be a big singer, but she would sleep with the promoters, so her career went nowhere. So they're both damaged figures. She recognises he's not a priest early on, and she's suspicious of him and knocks him out, but eventually they start to bond as they start to see beyond the surface of their circumstances that they are kind of decent people, they're not horrible. Like, Jeff Bridges didn't kill his partner. His partner was his brother-in-law, of his brother, and someone else, the other person that was doing the job with him killed him, but he couldn't find the money. So he's just trying to get that money so he can live out his life, his limited, what's left of his life with Alzheimer's. Dakota Johnson, she's actually kidnapped her sister, who's become a member of the cult. She's trying to protect her sister, but her sister's too far gone, and she doesn't realise it. She should have just moved on, but because of history of her past, of abuse from the father, she can't let go of the sister, and it's consuming her. Turns out the guy who runs the hotel is a drug addict. He was in a war and he was a sniper and he killed lots of people and he can't live with it. John Hamm dies really early on. He's like the psycho twist. Halfway through the film, he gets shot, he's dead. Like, he's set up as the FBI, so the FBI are watching this hotel and eventually they're going to come on in. So he becomes a ticking time bomb. But because his character just got interesting when he died, it feels like a problem. Because the twist wasn't that exciting, it was just like, oh yeah, well, he died. That's a shame. And actually keeping him around would have made it a more interesting film. And also, not having Charles Manson show up at the end would have been a much better film, because all he's there to do is to prove that Charles Manson was a moron, and we already know that. The guy was just a parasite on these people's ideals, and he just ruined everything. He was just a psychopath. And no matter how hard Chris Hemsworth tries, and how many people he kills Dakota Johnson later on to show her sister how much he means to her and stuff. He's just a murdering scumbag, and he's a nobody. No matter how much the actor tries, there's only so much you can do with a character that's a big bad nothing. And that's what the character is. And that's a character we should never have seen in the film. His presence, you see bits of Chris Hemsworth earlier, and the suggestion of his threat would have been enough without him actually showing up. Instead, as the film starts to go towards its end, he shows up, so it extends for another 20 minutes. And it's 20 minutes where it's just boring. Actually, just building towards the end, it's getting boring because this character's boring. And the John Hamm character could have caused a lot of problems without being killed, which would have set everyone against each other in more interesting ways. And it just feels like there's a bad script decision no one saw, and it just became a thing that sinks the movie, just because it's like, there's lots of dramatic elements here that don't work. And in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they do work because they know that Charles Manson's not a figure to stick in the film. Now the big thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is, of course, like Inglourious Basterds, it changes the end of history. In this film, Sharon Tate doesn't die. It becomes an alternative history. Just the same way in Inglourious Basterds, they kill Hitler, even though we know he lived for another year. Now the big difference between this and Inglourious Basterds is this works a lot better. Because even though Sharon Tate's murder was a big historical thing that signalled the end of the 60s into the 70s and make it more cynical, and all the abuse came to the surface, and all the drugs and all the problems that were part of that culture just came to the fore after that. The lives of these people weren't historically that important. They were just people living their lives, and they didn't deserve what happened to them, and the film showed they didn't deserve it by staying with them for a good 2 hours, or part of the 2 hours of the film before that. And when an interaction between the DiCaprio character and the people going up, because DiCaprio lives next door to them, because he annoys the killers who are going up to kill them so much by being a drunken idiot before moving back into his house, and they recognise him as a TV star, they decide to kill him instead. And fortunately Brad Pitt's there, even though he's high. He's high in a kite, and he thinks he's almost imagining it for a while before he realises, oh, these are actually trying to kill me. And the Manson family get brutalised. One of them gets a dog sticked in his nuts, and then Brad Pitt beats the hell out of him. Another one attacks Brad Pitt with a knife, and he stabs him in the side, and he just smashes her face into every bit of furniture there is, and her head just collapses. The third one gets dragged by a dog round the whole house, ripped to shreds, falls through a window into the pool where DiCaprio is. DiCaprio has a flamethrower from an earlier movie, and he burns her alive. Now this sounds horrific, but it's exactly what you want to see. And the reason why it works in this one is in Inglourious Basterds, Hitler's a scumbag, but they play him as too much of a comedy figure early on. It's to diffuse the situation, and they're killing Nazis and all the rest of it's a comic book. But then when they kill him at the end, it's like, that doesn't solve anything. The Nazis are still killing people. This doesn't end the war quickly. It doesn't do anything. It's just oh, look at me, we killed Hitler. Hitler was just the top of a systematic racist government. He was the person pushing it forward, yeah, but there was lots of other ones around him who were doing the same thing. And just killing Hitler and a few people just feels like an insult to all those people who died in concentration camps. And it just feels if you're not even Second World War, it feels tacky and insensitive and insulting. Like, as a viewer, I thought it was funny seeing the film, but after I've seen the film, you thought, that was a bit. If you look upon it objectively, it's just a bit tacky. But it's a lot of bad taste stuff that you enjoy, then you think, oh, it's a bit tacky later on. That's what it was. But it kind of lowered the movie when you're watching it again, because you're thinking, this movie's built towards something that's absurd and it's kind of insulting. The first time you see it, because you don't expect it to happen, it's nice and it's fun, but after that you think, oh, this is kind of insulting. And I think it really cheapens the movie, and it means they don't actually have an ending that actually has weight. The ending doesn't have the weight it needs. And I think not killing Hitler and seeing what happened if they didn't kill him would have given the film a bit more of interest and weight at the end. Because I just think it was something that was obscuring the potential other drama in the situation. Like, killing Hitler was just the easy way out, and I think it actually made the film worse. Because before that, the film was respectful of the fact of the threat of the Nazis, respectful of what the Nazis did and how horrible they were, and that just trivialised it in a way which I think was not good to the film. In this one, it doesn't trivialise it. these Manson family people are psychos. They have it coming. They are horrible people. And they go to the wrong house and they get brutalised. And it doesn't take away from the fact that these people died in real life, this charity died in real life. It's just this alternative universe, which it didn't. And it doesn't feel weightless. It just feels like this is a twist of fate. Like, it could have gone this way but went that way. And there's still a horrible situation in the house that happened. But other different people died. I mean, the people who died in this one were the Manson family rather than Sharon Tate. And they died in horrible ways. But it's still something that's going to affect the society as it went on, because as these hippies went psycho on society and people would start watching them with unease. It doesn't change anything beyond the fact that someone lived. Other people, like the DiCaprio character, is probably going to get a second win with his career now. Because he just came back from working in some Italian exploitation movies, which all look pretty funny. But he's obviously going to come back now. He's going to give a great resurgence. Obviously the Brad Pitt character, because he destroyed these hippies, that'll probably help his career in some way, or add to the myth of him again. Maybe in ways that don't help his career, who knows, because he dealt with him in a very brutal way. And it adds to the thing, did he kill his wife or didn't he kill his wife? Because the way he took them on was pretty awful. So it adds complications, and it works so much better because it works as a drama, but also when you think about it later on, there's no seedy ways of looking at it like, oh, this was in bad taste. Because it still acknowledged what happened. It used that as the threat of what happened to Sharon Tate. But it just said this alternative universe, but it went this way rather than this way. But everything else around it is still going to go the same way. It's just that this is a slightly different universe. And it just works because it's just some character fates change, but history doesn't in any significant way. And it feels like it works as a narrative. It feels like the important points of that situation still are made, but you get an ending that's not as tragic. But it still allows the complications of the DiCaprio character still probably going to be a bit of a loser. The Cliff character's probably still be in trouble. The Sharon Tate character, there's suggestions that her marriage to Polanski might not work. There's suggestions that everything's going to go in a parallel way, but it's not going to be exactly the same. But it works as a drama, it works as a little film, a little what-if film. Just the same as a lot of the Rick Dawn films you see are what-if films based on what this guy was in the 60s, and he was one of this generation. It's fiction, but it's pleasing, and it's bouncing off what you've seen before from that period and in a fun way. There's also other fun little nuggets in this, like the guy that's taken over the Western genre from DiCaprio and TV is played by Timothy Olyphant, who of course is going to be an actor from Deadwood, which is going to be the thing that takes over the Western TV genre. So they actually have the guy that is going to become the icon of TV Westerns playing a character who's replacing the DiCaprio stock bounty hunter character. So it's a little nod to reality and where it's going without nodding too much. There's things like that. Bruce Lee appears and he gets his arse kicked by Brad Pitt's character because he's such an arrogant little swine in this. And it's funny. It doesn't take away from Bruce Lee. It's just that it's funny showing this icon to be petty and insecure. And he just shows that's what all actors are kind of like. They're all insecure and they're bad moments. You see DiCaprio have terrible moments too. But then you see the humane moments. You don't see that with Bruce Lee, but you can suggest that probably will happen elsewhere. If you followed him, you'd see more humane moments. It's just like I suggest showing the world and all its problems, all its glories as well. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is really worth seeing. There's lots of stuff I haven't talked about that's really worth seeing. There are nice little moments where, because Brad Pitt's playing a stuntman, you have a moment where he does this little stunt, obviously the stuntman doing it around him, but it's always cheeky the way the camera moves are to have to say, yeah, we know, it's a joke. Yeah, we're making it intentionally something Brad Pitt can't do just so you know it's a joke. There's things like that work throughout the film as well. So it's really worthwhile seeing. It's one of Tarantino's most interesting films, one of his best films. I would definitely recommend it. Bad Times, I was kind of let down by it a little bit because I was looking forward to it after Cabin in the Woods. But it's still a fun movie. Just, it's seeing too close to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood makes you see the difference. Especially since there were a lot of similarities in the Charles Manson figure. And one handled it really well and one didn't. But yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a lot of stuff I have not talked about that are in the film that are worth seeing. I've just not talked about them. But definitely see it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back soon with another video.